Best podcast in the world. Wagwan. Best podcast in the world. Wagwan.
Drew long pan a topic, all pan a rocket. Muscle confusion in my try make logic. Drew yourself stop it when Rochelle upon a unicorn. Common sense, coming back to base like a uniform. Wagwan. Best podcast in the broadcast. Listen when indoors, listen first class. Talk about enough things, make you start laugh.
Best podcast in the world. Wagwan. Best podcast in the world.
Wagwan, everybody, Wagwan.
Yeah, we're there.
Greetings from the Most High.
Jesus Christ.
All right, guys, just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. We have a YouTube channel. If you don't already know, now you know. The YouTube channel is the Wagwan Podcast. Please subscribe, like, and share any of our content. Feel free to tell a friend.
Yes. And if you want us to talk about something that you want to hear about, email us at wagwanpodcasts@gmail.com, WAHGWAN podcast@gmail.com. Again, and we're also on Instagram. Follow us, comment. Yeah.
We're also found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Amazon Music, and all your other favorite streaming platforms. If it's a platform for streaming, we are definitely on it. Make sure you check us out.
Today we got one of our other resident guests.
Yes.
Coming on, Mr. Ravi Gudka.
From Gwan.
I gotta figure out how to say stuff in your dialect. I gotta figure that stuff out. But
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, all right. Say no more. Next time you're on, I'm gonna have some. What's the name of your language again?
Gujarati.
Good. I'm gonna have some Gujarati for you for sure. Gujarati for you for sure.
Pronounced perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like etymology, so you know, I try my best. Today we will be talking about the differences between, the changes in our society and what we think is causing some of the different changes in our society. So let's get at it. Ravi.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what you remember of old, what's going on today, and what you think caused it.
Well, I remember, at least when I was growing up, I was always hustling. I just had to. You know, it was just, maybe it was my nature. I don't know. But I feel like kids of new don't have that drive. You know, I hustled because, hey man, I wanted to hang out with girls. Girls ain't trying to hang out with a dude who's broke. And you know, that was my drive. Also, I saw my parents hustling, right? So I would want to be like that. You know, I don't want to get left behind, as we already spoke of.
So what was your first hustle?
So I grew up in an apartment complex, but like garden apartments. And I would always, like, if it snowed, I'd be the happiest kid, man. Always cleaning off the cars, shoveling out the snow from the walkways, so that the older people could get to their cars safely. So I did that. I would did the traditional lemonade stand. Did that.
You did a lemonade stand, bro?
Yep, did a lemonade stand.
Cliche right there, boy.
Car wash, car wash. I did that using water that was not mine, but
You did the
nobody really.
hydrant car wash, bro? In
No,
New
no,
Jersey?
no. That I probably would have gotten in trouble for.
Okay.
I did that in Hoboken.
Gotcha.
A lot. But nah, I mean, there was a hose spigot there, so put up signs in the neighborhood.
Mm.
But I was like 10, 11, 12, something in that. I don't remember.
You for real? At 10, you're out hustling? My daughter's
man.
9 and I'm not trying to let her leave the house.
I think well, today is different. Today is very different. Back then, we didn't have any cares like that, at least not where I grew up.
Mm.
Yeah, so
Ali,
10,
you
11.
you see him name dropping, right? The first time he came on, Ravi thinks he's gonna come on the show, and we're not gonna check him. So he came on at first and said he was poor. His dad had to work hard. He didn't see his dad. He came on crying like a Democrat, right? And then now he's talking about, he lived in the garden apartments. You heard him say that, right? Right, Baba? Yeah. When you hear garden apartments, that's them telling you it wasn't the hood we were living in, the Upper East Side, right? They moved on up, right?
Okay.
Now he's telling us, he lived in the garden apartments and all this kind of stuff. Come on, man. I'm peeping your game, Ravi. I'm peeping your game.
Well,
Ravi.
I was fortunate enough to not grow up in the hood. That I was.
Yeah.
But when you say garden apartment can be a little misleading.
You were trying to mislead us, but I got you.
Wow. There's no escaping the Dre, huh? Yeah. 700 square foot, 2-bedroom apartment. That's where my brother. That's where I grew up. But that's all right.
So, I got you.
We had 1 or 2 trees, so that qualified for garden.
I got you.
So I guess the point to continue on is, technology has, I think, dramatically changed how kids behave, how kids think, and what they think about. Social media, of course, everyone complains about social media. Everyone complains about technology. But I think kids are a lot smarter today because they have access to so much more information than we did. I guess they have access to so much more information a lot easier. It's at their fingertips. So, whereas when we were growing up, you had to go to the library to find out this stuff. You had to read. You had to you had to put in some significant effort. And let me tell you, doing all that, no, it's not happening. You had to have some drive, but now it's in the palm of your hand. So I think that's led kids to be smarter, textbook wise, but that drive of getting things done and kind of being self-sufficient, I feel that's not there anymore, at least from what I see. Parents are also doing way, way too much for their kids, way too much. Right from the very beginning, I see some of my friends that have young children, 5 and under. And man, continuing to feed your child at 5 years old, spoon feeding them literally at dinner. I think that's something that we didn't do. At least I don't, I wouldn't remember. That's too long ago, but I don't think my mom spoon fed me when I was 5 years old.
Wicked.
Simple things like that really.
Yo, there'll be 5-year-olds in strollers now, and 6-year-olds in strollers.
Oh my God!
See what I mean? You see that in the city or wherever
Dead
you're at.
ass. Dead ass.
So now,
I
what are your?
also see that a lot of the theme parks too. Like you see these kids, like their foot, which theme parks are probably the exception because it's a lot of walking. But in general, the parents, I agree with you 100%. I think we have turned our kids into big cats.
Yep.
Okay. And that's not the word I want to use, but that's the one that I'm going for. Because,
Oh
and I
snap,
Wow.
think we,
Rochelle!
I think we overcompensate because a lot of us had rough beginnings. A lot of us did not have anything, right? We had to make our own entertainment. As you said, we had to go to the library, right? And we had to wait for those books because the library I went to in my country of Jamaica, if that one reference book was being used, you better sit down and wait your turn until it was your time to get the one book that was in the entire library. So it pushed you to persevere. It pushed you to have patience. It pushed you to know that everything doesn't come at your fingertips, right? We didn't have a million fast food restaurants to choose from, whatever. Or even if they were, your parents would be like, do you have the money to go to that restaurant? Well, we're not going to go, right? So you had to go home. You had to wait until your parent or guardian made you that dinner. So you knew life came slow. Okay. Our kids, we are overcompensating. Oh, I didn't have a phone, so I'm going to give you three phones. Oh, I didn't have a computer, I'm going to give you five computers. I didn't have this, I'm going to do everything I can, not knowing we're making them soft. And I don't think they're smarter, Ravi. I really don't think they're smarter. I just think they're more privileged and they know they're privileged, right? I definitely don't think they're smarter kids. I really don't. Because if they were much smarter, we would have progressed way faster than where we are. Me being in the classroom, it looks like a decline to me of intelligence. It doesn't look like an increase of intelligence, even with the phones. These kids cannot use a calculator. I'm talking high school students. They cannot use the base. You ask them to add 5 plus 8. Oh my God. It is I'm like, don't use the calculator. I hit my chest and I'm like, count it out. And they're like, Miss, what are you doing? And they, right? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I don't know if you've ever been to a fast food restaurant and the food came to like say $18 and you gave the cashier like let's say you gave her like $22 or $23, something like that. And she's supposed to be like $5. And they go crazy. They don't know how much to give you back. They shut down. They don't know
Yeah.
like what is happening. So I really think we are setting our kids back. I really think we're doing them a disservice by going above and beyond, by overcompensating. All right, I'm done talking.
I agree. I think, I mean, we were supposed to have an episode where we're talking about, are the smartphones making us smarter? But I don't think. I mean, I think there is a increase in the amount of stupid stuff you see happening in the world, and it's like if we're getting smarter, this should be a downward trend, not an upward trend of stupidity. Like, and I think, like Ravi said, the climate we're living in, right? Because a lot of people, um, they out there doing stuff for likes. You know what I mean? And even if it involves them getting injured in the process, but they post a video and they get liked, and so stupidity is celebrated, right? Because, oh, I'm laughing, so I'm gonna like this video, and now he's like, okay, let me go look for more stupid stuff to do. Let me go look for more outlandish things to do. Whereas, there is actual knowledge at your fingertips, but no one wants to go learn. They want to do stupid stuff. So yeah, I agree that people are getting more and more stupid. And to Ravi's point about like parents spoon feeding 5-year-olds. I remember I took my daughter to a birthday party, and I think my daughter was about 6 at the time. And you know, the parents were there, the children were there. And I remember seeing this one woman sitting down. She was the only one sitting next to her child and like feeding him and I was sitting there like, that is what a helicopter, because I used to hear the term helicopter parents and I didn't understand what it was. I mean, obviously I understand what a helicopter does, but like I've never really seen it in real life. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh snap, that's a helicopter parent right there. And again, because Rochelle, you said it. I don't want to keep repeating what everybody else said, but because we felt like our upbringing was inadequate, so we're trying to overcompensate. Like when my kids fall, people around me, hold their breath and all these different things, and I'm like, leave them alone, let them fall, let her or him bruise the knee. They're not gonna die. They're gonna learn to be careful next time. You know, and so I think all the different nuances of our society that we had, um, we as adults now are taking that out of our society, and that's dwarfing our children, and dwarfing our future, as a matter of fact.
Yo, there was a Arab man, and he said, my my grandfather rode on camelback. My father had a Range Rover, and I had a Lamborghini. And he said, his son will probably be walking. And they asked him, why is that? And there's this saying that's going around on the internet: hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. So I think that's what we got a little bit of going on here.
I mean, boy, you get an award for Gem of the Year, brother, because that literally is the explanation for what's going on.
We're definitely getting
Thank you.
weaker, for sure. 100%. Very well said, too, Ali.
Thank you.
That was not muscle confusion, brother.
Funny.
But I wanted to also touch on the entrepreneurship slash enterprising of our young people. And so I think there's a bunch of things that might be happening, and I don't know because I don't, because of COVID, I don't interact with a lot of young people as much as I used to anymore, because everybody's locked up in their houses. But I remember having like Ravi said, seeing young people shoveling people's driveways, shoveling people's cars out. I remember I see people with their lemonade stands on the television, and all these different things. And I'm thinking to myself, the young people of the inner city, what kind are they also doing businesses, but they might be doing businesses online? You know what I mean? Because I remember I was with a client, and his son was telling me about a business he started. And what he was doing was, like, he lived in a very, very affluent community. And so, like, the old books, like when people have old books, he posted an ad, I guess on a community site. And if people had old books they wanted to get rid of, he would go to their houses, clear out the books, sell the books online, and split the profits with the owners that he took the books from. So, well, if you didn't live in his house, you wouldn't know that he's being entrepreneurial. So I'm wondering if our young people are also being entrepreneurial, but we just can't see it, um, because a lot of stuff is taking place online. What do you guys think?
I mean, the sneaker game is real too. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, but
you
how
know,
many of them are doing that? Are a lot of them buying and selling sneakers though?
I think that's happening every minute that these, yeah. I
But
mean,
are the young
my,
people doing it, or are the older people doing it? That's what I'm
I
asking.
think, I think young people are also doing it. They're getting involved in it.
Mm,
You know, young as in, high schoolers. You
gotcha.
know, they're also buying, selling, and trading amongst each other as well. I mean, my stepson, he does that. You know,
Mm,
he'll buy because he'll get a pair of shoes that could be $1,000 retail. You know, he'll get them for like a couple $100, or he'll trade sneakers that he has that are worth less, but he'll trade up for these shoes that are worth more, and then he'll sell the ones that are worth more. Like he does that, often actually.
mm.
Um, I'm not sure who's going to allow their kid to sell $1,000 shoes or buy $1,000 shoes, but listen, that's besides the point.
Mm.
Um,
So
you know,
so maybe the affluent kids are the ones that are being entrepreneurial, and the ones that really should be entrepreneurial are busy focusing their energy on something. I mean, Rochelle,
no,
you're go ahead,
no,
Ravi.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
it's I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's the exact opposite. So my stepson's not affluent. I'm not affluent. All right.
Here we
And
go.
I'm
Okay.
certainly not giving handouts here for sure. These kids aren't getting, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Um,
Uh,
so, you know, he's working with the affluent kids. The affluent, if somebody gives you $1, you don't know the value of that dollar. So these kids are getting handed, $1,000 a week as their allowance. I mean, that's ridiculous, but that's what they're doing. Whatever. And so
a
then these
week?
kids, a
Jeez.
week, a week, cash money, baby.
I need to go create something to market to them kids.
I'm asking if their parents want to adopt.
Well, that too. That too.
I'm available. But again, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So, I'm sure there's some consequences to that money. But anyway, these kids go out and spend all this money and they lose interest within minutes. And so then they get rid of whatever they have and then they buy something else. And you know, so, there are some kids that are less fortunate or don't have that kind of access to money that will take advantage of that. I mean, there's some entrepreneur, there's a hustle in that, which I appreciate.
Right, right, right.
But I think it is happening online. We can't see it. However, I still think I still agree with Rochelle to a certain degree that some kids they're kind of losing touch of reality. I mean, if you can't operate a calculator, man, that's disturbing. I mean, what has happened to? I'm not even going to blame it on the education system. What 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 are their parents doing? What are they
Rochelle,
doing?
Rochelle, are you seeing this like entrepreneurial spirit in the kids that you're dealing with? I mean, what are the ages of the kids you're teaching?
So I teach high school. So I'm
Oh,
teaching ninth grade to 12th grade.
perfect
Um,
age group.
okay, it's it depends on who you ask. But so for me, my population of students, I don't see entrepreneur or any entrepreneurship abilities coming out. I don't hear it when we speak. Like again, I work in the inner city, so my kids they they know their block. They know what people do on their block. They know what's happening on the next block, and basically that is life. And basically whatever they see on their block, that is that's it, right? So it's my job to literally open up their minds. Like there's so much you can do. What do you like? Right? I remember the most painful thing that I witnessed was during Halloween. I said to them, "Oh my gosh, it's Halloween, right? So I want you to tell me whether it's real or imaginary. Some place that you could go. If I said I'm going to give you any amount of money, where would you want to go?" And I'm going to listen. I would have taken Narnia. I would have taken Harry Potter Village. I would have taken, I didn't care where they wanted, anime world. I don't care. These kids say they just want to go back to the block. And it was the saddest thing for me. It was so sad. I was like, what do you mean? I'm giving you money to go any, and one kid said, oh, Florida. I said, okay, you know what? Let me stop because is this our life? So it's very sad. I think where you grow up and again, the parents you have, right? Because even if you're poor, I remember even though we came from poor beginnings, a lot of us, our parents opened up the world. They bought us books. If we couldn't go there, you're going to go in the books. If you can't go there, we're going to imagine us being there. But they made sure that our minds were bigger than the buildings and the rooms that we literally grew in. But unfortunately, my kids, no, the room is as big as this room, and that's as big as their mind. And this is as far as they go, which is very, very sad.
No imagination, huh?
Yeah. Imagination is a hell of a drug because if you are able to get lost in a world, then your imagination can go there. Then you know you're bigger than whatever is happening right now. But when you have no imagination, and that is what technology is doing, it's taking away imagination because this is the world, this is it. So you get lost in your little dark corner on your phone and you think this is life, but it's not. And unfortunately, that's the reality for the kids that I work with.
Yeah, but I blame a lot of this stuff on society, right? I think
Well, change
growing
their mind, Rochelle.
Ali, trust me, I am trying my best. Like I
Try
do,
harder than your
I'm
best.
sorry, Dre. I didn't mean to break you, but like I do virtual tours. Like even the guys who are in like the hallways, monitoring the hallways, they always tell me, "Oh, I love your class," and I'm like, first of all, you're in the hallway. Why are you, right? Because I carry my kids all over the world. I do virtual tours. I remember like we go all I'm like, let's choose a country. We're gonna go, we're gonna see the food, we're gonna see what they eat. So I'm trying to open up their minds, open up that imagination because it cannot be this. This is not it. It's not doing it. So yes, I'm sorry, Dre. Didn't mean to cut you there.
it's all good. Um, I think I blame a lot of it on society because like the things we celebrate is what people aspire to or strive to, right? And they're not we don't we don't we don't celebrate we don't celebrate excellence as much as we used to when we were younger. I remember there was a time when people used to gather around to watch the spelling bee, right? That stuff don't even come on television anymore. If it does, I don't even know what channel it comes on. Or science fairs, or all these different things. Like this stuff, like we us as a culture, we don't celebrate the things we used to celebrate. Um, and so the kids grow up, that's the thing. Ali always talks about women are takers, men are givers. Well, kids are also takers. Kids are like I don't even know. I didn't think of an analogy to use right this second, but they look at what we are valuing, and then they go out and they value it in their small way, right? And so if they're seeing stupid people on television and stupid people are making money, and they see stupid people on social media and these same stupid people are making money, then what's the sense being intelligent? What's the sense working hard? These guys are making money sitting at home, or this guy, the biggest social media guy, the guy that goes out and buys, tells people, oh, I'm gonna give you $30,000 to spend in a store. You got 1 minute to spend it all. Like that, they're looking at this guy doing nothing, practically nothing, and he's getting millions and or hundreds of millions of attention, right, from doing practically nothing. And they're like, why should I go out and be? I mean, one of the smartest guys on the planet is Neil deGrasse Tyson. And Neil deGrasse Tyson has to work hard making himself relevant, right? When we should be clamoring to get Neil deGrasse Tyson his opinion, or put his brain to work in as many places in our society. But what we do, we get these stupid people to come on to talk about stupid stuff. And then we sit down and we say, oh, the kids are being getting a steady diet. I mean, you remember Mr. Rogers?
Yep.
That guy used to sit and teach little kids for hours, for decades. Sesame Street, as stupid as it was, or as, whatever issues people have with Sesame Street, nowadays. I mean, these things people used to sit down and learn. Nowadays, it's all like I'm struggling with my kid, telling her, look, stop watching all this stupid stuff. Go watch stuff you can learn from. And that's the thing. Back in the day, the entertainment was also a learning space. Like, you used to learn while you are entertained. Nowadays, it's just entertainment for entertainment's sake. And so the kids aren't seeing value in being excellent, and the kids aren't seeing value in being smart. And let me take that back. There is a segment, the larger segment of our country isn't seeing the value in these things. There is a segment of our country where they're striving for excellence. But usually it's the affluent segment of our country that they are the ones, like the ones that don't need it are the ones that are taking advantage of it. The affluent kids are sitting around and because they're seeing their parents live an excellent life, and their parents are imparting to them all the things that are important, in which the non-affluent people are also imparting as well. But if I'm not seeing the proof, it's hard. It's hard for you to tell me, hey, you're gonna be rich. You can be anything you want to be, when we're living in a 700 square foot 2-bedroom apartment. If the society around us is also dumbing everybody down, right? And then you're telling me this thing, to me, I'm gonna look at you like you're lying. That's why so many people, when Barack Obama, it sounds like I'm jumping all over the place, but when Barack Obama became president, like, a lot of people cried because they, like, all the things they were being told, they saw it happen in front of them. A lot of people thought, oh, this would never happen in America. This would never happen in America, whatever. And then they saw it happen and they're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it happened. Because it's unbelievable. And so because we are people in a less fortunate situation, right? Don't see wealth, don't see the value of personal responsibility. Don't see the value in hustling, like Ravi said, right? A lot of these different little nuances of our society is slowly dying. And, you know, what we're seeing is the result, the byproduct of that.
I think we also, to your point, Andre, is that there are there are people that younger kids that do um, watch and listen to people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, or there's another YouTuber who used to work at NASA, and this kid's brilliant. He's brilliant. He does stupid things, but at the same time, he turns it into a learning experience for kids. And
What's
my
his name?
stepdaughter, I forget his name. I will find it for you. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared with that. But
So good.
I think I think his name is Ben something. I don't know. But my stepdaughter put me onto him because she's really interested in outer space and stuff like that. And he worked at NASA, so she found a commonality there. You know, so there are those people out there. Unfortunately, it's getting fewer and fewer, and it's few and far between. The stupid people are more common, unfortunately. But you have to, like, just like when you're hustling, you got to go out and find it. You got to work at it. Yeah, you have to work at finding the better people that are on social media and that you can learn from. So it's not completely at a loss. We aren't completely at a loss, but it should be easier. Like you said, Mr. Rogers. I grew up watching Mr. Rogers. Learn a lot from him. You know, for a 5, 6, 7 year old kid. You know, those or was that Bill Nye, the science guy? Shows like that don't even exist anymore. But they are on YouTube. It's just it's different. You have to go looking for it. If you're a kid, that's not what you're going to go look for unless you're really interested in it.
I just want to remind you guys that we are actually in World War III, and World War III was a psychological war, and that included dumbing the kids down for the next generation. You know? Did you know China made TikTok?
Yep. Yep.
And there's psychologists who controlled when people release dopamine and serotonin and watch that and control what people will like and engineer, like how people will react to things and put things that are addictive in front of people. It's a whole bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes also.
And people eat up TikTok. They love it. It's like the only thing that exists. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
gonna leave
understand.
TikTok alone, son. TikTok's my jam.
You have to remember too that TikTok just didn't become TikTok, right? It started out with MySpace, right? And then it evolved, right? So every new app learned from their predecessors, right? And therefore, TikTok is going to become old, just like how Facebook got old after a certain time. But then what is going to replace it is going to be even more addictive because it's just like a parasite. It well, the parasite kills its host, but it's more up. So it's not a parasite. It's more of a communal relationship where both parties, well, they're getting more from us, right? But they're learning from us. They're learning. They're evolving, and therefore, it's up to us to decide how long we're going to stay, how long our kids are going to stay. We have to put we have to put some stops there and say, listen, we have to do better. You know what I'm saying? So, as you said, it is a psychological warfare because these kids and adults will be on these different apps from morning till night, nonstop. So we literally have to be smarter than what they're giving us, you know?
Dre, why you defending the TikTok man them?
So here's the thing with TikTok. TikTok has a little bit of everything. If you and that's the thing with social media, and that's the thing with the internet. The internet gives you what it thinks you want. So if you want stupid stuff, TikTok will continue to give you stupid stuff. If you want interesting things, TikTok will give you interesting things. So I'm on TikTok, but I'm not sitting around watching stupid cat videos. I'm listening to people talk about crypto. I'm listening to people talk about the law. I'm listening to things that I'm interested in, right? So I hear people complaining about TikTok and it contributes to the short attention span and all these different things. And I'm like, yeah, if you see something on TikTok that interests you, when the 2 minute or whatever the minute is video's done, you go online and you go search out whatever it is you're looking for. TikTok for me is something like a like an advertisement, and you're like, oh, what's that product? Let me go look into it. And then you start branching out. Yeah, there's a lot of rubbish on TikTok, but there's also a lot of good stuff. So you just have to, pay attention to what you're looking for and what you're looking at. And there's good and bad in everything. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean that's for sure. Good, it's what you make of it, right? Just like with school, some kids they take advantage of the good teachers and the bad teachers. Well, I don't know about bad teachers, but they take advantage of what the teachers are trying to get through to them, right? And then there are some kids that they could care less. So it's what you get out of it and what you're looking for. But Dre, being that you're on TikTok, does TikTok itself push things to you, certain type of videos and certain type of information? Do they push that to you?
Yeah.
Or is
So
it all relative to what you're interested in? Don't they have an
so
algorithm like that built
they
into it?
right. So they all have algorithms that will push things that it wants you to see, right? Or things it thinks you're interested in. So, all right, it's sort of like, all right, I'm gonna jump from app to app to app. Like Pinterest. You can go on Pinterest and you can only see creative home decoration on Pinterest. You can also go on Pinterest and only see sexy female pictures. You can also go on Pinterest and only see animal pictures. Pinterest, if they see that you like animal pictures, you spend a lot of time looking at animal pictures and all these different things, they're going to keep feeding you that. TikTok is the same way. So if TikTok sees that you like stupid dance videos or these where these guys are standing on crates and falling and busting their face open, then TikTok is going to continue feeding you that. If TikTok sees you like crypto conversation and stuff like that, then TikTok is going to continue feeding you that same thing. Like if you're always searching and looking for financial tips, right? TikTok isn't gonna be sending you chicks, shaking their booties.
So they won't do that. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
Even if
they
those other type of videos had, let's say, 1 million views and the ones that you're looking for have 50,000 views, they're not going to push those other videos to you. Okay.
so very rarely do I see a video that isn't something that I like spent time looking at. So I think TikTok looks at, if you sit and watch, right? Like if you sit and watch a video, like an entire video, TikTok would say, "Oh, Ravi's interested in this. Let's find more of this and send it to Ravi." But if you see a stupid video that you just skip it, you skip next, and then you stay on a similar kind of video as the last one you stayed on, then TikTok knows, okay, this is his interest. Let's keep giving him this. Like they're not gonna feed you sexy female videos if you're always looking at construction videos. You understand what I'm saying?
Got it. Okay.
But I'm an older person. TikTok, it's hard for TikTok to control my mind, I think, because I'm older, I'm more mature, my brain is more mature. So I can sit on TikTok, and after 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, I'm like, all right, this is enough. I've heard of people sitting on TikTok all day long. I can't understand how that happens. Because after a while, look, each video is 2 to 5 minutes, right? Like you're not getting like a complete thought, a complete idea, a complete education on TikTok. So for you to sit down and get 15,000 different, nugget ideas, that's useless information.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So you have to
completely.
You have to know what you're looking for on TikTok, and then you have to take your research out of TikTok. Because I'm not gonna lie, I get a lot of ideas from there when it comes to just finances, when it comes to crypto, when it comes to how to handle money. Like a lot of guys are on there giving good information. There are also, I don't know what these kids are looking at with this, that's the stupid stuff they're watching, but there's a lot of that as well. So I think you get what you're looking for in most of these different platforms. Like I don't know if Instagram or TikTok or wherever, like there's a program out there where guys, it's like porn. There's a lot of sex stuff on there, and these guys go on and they indulge for hours looking at different porn light stuff, right? I don't see any of that on TikTok. I don't see any of that on Instagram. I don't see any of. So I'm just saying, yeah, it's bad if you don't know how to use it. And I think a lot of us don't understand technology, and so yeah, it abuses us as opposed to us abusing it.
Yeah, it'll take control of you.
For sure. And,
so I think that's part of the problem. Sorry to interrupt you, but part of the problem with the kids, like Ali said, is, the younger generation, their brains are not mature, and we're dumbing them down with this nonsense stuff. They don't have the foresight to say, all right, I need to get off of this and go do something else. And that's where I think that's ultimately where the problem's coming from. That,
yep. So
here's
I believe in peer pressure, and I believe peer pressure is neither negative or positive. I believe that you can have positive peer pressure and you can have negative peer pressure. I remember I was driving a group of kids one day, and these kids were high school kids, and they were all talking about business and making money. And I turned around and I'm asking them, how old are you guys? Because to me, when I was this age, I wasn't thinking about business. I wasn't thinking about making money. I was thinking about getting a girlfriend or sneakers or clothes. You understand what I'm saying? And
yep.
I figured out that when you're in certain atmospheres, right? The culture is different, and you have to keep up with whatever the culture in your atmosphere is, right? And I think when you and I were growing up, the atmosphere nationwide was different than the atmosphere today. There was a day when guys wouldn't even curse in the same room that a female was in.
Okay.
Now they're cursing out the females. You see where I'm coming from?
Yep.
So back in the day, you had people like Wolf Blitzer. You had people like, what's the name of all these different news reporters that were going around and having intelligent news programs that the entire household would sit down and watch. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
you have all of these different like Wheel of Fortune. The family used to sit down and watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. Now people aren't even like interested in learning. South Park is what South Park and what's the other one? The Simpsons. That's what they want to watch now. Nobody
Believe it
wants
or
to.
not, we actually do watch Jeopardy. Not often, but we do watch Jeopardy as a family every now and then.
Yeah, but look, you and I, we're here. Us four are here having this conversation, so that doesn't seem foreign to me. You understand what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
you are still hearkening back to the times when the new society here, they don't value that kind of stuff. Why do you think that TV show Steve Harvey has is so popular?
He's also an amazing person. He is phenomenal.
Well, yes, but the questions that they ask the people. He has two shows. He has is he the one that does Are You As Smart as a Fifth Grader?
Yes.
So he has that one, and then he has, what's it, like a Family Feud kind of program?
Yeah.
Where survey says, right? So the questions that he's asking in these, like, if you just look at the level of questioning, it is totally different from Wheel of Fortune or well, not even Wheel of Fortune, but Jeopardy. Totally different category. I'm shocked Jeopardy's still on TV. I guess when the baby boomers die, Jeopardy's gonna come off television.
Unfortunately, I think you're right about that.
And I think that's why our society is what it is today, because the society on a whole, right, don't have a high value placed on education. It doesn't have a high value placed on community. It doesn't have a high value placed on
sex.
Well, it does have a high value placed on sex. That's why it's so prevalent in our society.
Because porn is so easily accessible now, kids are just backing their fists left and right.
Yep. I mean, they used to do it. I don't want to, I think they used to do it back then. They used to do it they used to steal their parents' magazines.
Yeah, but
and
now
do it to the magazine.
That was a lot harder.
Now, yeah, exactly. Now you could 20 seconds find any exotic porn you want, any fetish you want.
In addition to that, I think, that's a different subject. I don't want to go over there right now. But I think the main reason is because the values of the society has dwindled away. I think that's because, I'm thinking back in Jamaica, and I don't know if you grew up. Were you born in India or were you born here, Ravi?
No, I was born here.
Well, I don't know if you would know, but India, they do very well in math, technology and sciences, right?
Yes.
Why? Why they don't have a predisposition? They have the same 5 or 6 pound brain in their heads as we do. Why are they so inclined in that way? And then over here, it's we don't have the same kinds of inclination. You're having to create programs to to get our kids interested when those kids seem naturally inclined that way. Why?
I think life there is a little different. And so India gained its independence in 1948 from the British. So while under the British rule, education was kind of held back from them. So now that they have the ability to be educated, that generation that knew or that was alive during the oppression of the British, they're still alive. They're still around. So they've put that that idea or that mindset in the newer generation, and it keeps going. So that's kind of I think that's where it stems from, you know. And there's a lot of competition over there too. You know, you have the Chinese people, you have the Japanese people, Koreans. You know, that world over there is different than what we have here. We're kind of like somewhat on our own. We don't we don't have competition the way we used to, and that competition is coming back furiously because of technology. You know, look at the Chinese, look at the Russians. They're very, very smart people, and we're going to be left behind because we've been so comfortable for so many years.
Yeah,
You know,
man.
so
Like,
I'm not sure if I answered your question completely, but that's my thought about why Indians are, or they put so much weight on education.
so the only variable that you listed that isn't necessarily here is the inability to educate oneself. That hasn't been here in America for some time, and so maybe you're right because there was a boom. There was a boom in our industrialization, right? Like there was a point when we were just growing by leaps and bounds for decades. And then like Ali said, you know, we were walking, we were riding camels at one point, and then we started driving, Lamborghinis and Range Rovers, and it looks like we're about to start walking again because we have to find a way to ignite that drive in the future. That's the problem. Why do you think a guy or a girl or whomever would, like, I sit down and I watch, I see videos every now and then of like young kids fighting, and I'm like, that is such useless use of the time. You spent so much time creating an argument, fussing, jawing at each other outside, and now you're fighting for no reason. Or the kids who run around and punch people, random people, when you guys could have sat down and go shovel people driveway and earn some money, and then use the work ethic you learned there to go apply to something else. But you're right, we've been sitting high on the hog for a while. So now you have some people who based on their family structure or just their I guess I don't want to say genetic predisposition, but their drive, right, to for more, they're the ones they're sitting. I always say, if you're in New York if you grew up in New York and you go to anywhere else in the South, you could eat people's dinner all day long because New York teaches you the hustler spirit. New York teaches you how to grind. New York teaches you how to claw for everything you have. Whereas in a lot of other states, they're just, enjoying and going through life. And I don't, hopefully I don't offend anybody. But that's what New York is, a grind. New York is like, hurry up, man. Why you taking so long? Get out of my way. I gotta go. I got some place to be. You go to some states, it's like everything is in slow motion. And I think us as a society, we lost that hustle, that grind. There are some people, there's a small group of people who is still figuring out a way to impart this to their lineage. But back in the 60 years ago, 80 years ago, like the country itself had that. And this is my opinion. Obviously, I wasn't alive 80 years ago. But based on what I read and what I hear about living then, the whole country had this drive because they were seeing a lot of things happen around them. There was a lot of wealth being generated. There was a lot of opportunities being generated around everybody. So everybody had, it's like when excitement is going on, you start to get excited. So it's the same right now. You only are seeing the small pockets, like they say, the 1%. Those are the ones really that are enjoying life. And so you don't get to see them. So you don't get to be excited. So you just sit in your doldrum.
But again, Dre, I think it's even bigger than just looking at or young people and everything and just blaming them, or it's very easy to do that. You have to remember that, and I know when we go there, this was planned. This is systematic. This was, you break their will, you take their trade, right? You take everything from them. Because do remember that back in the day, you had a lot of flourishing Black communities. You had a lot of Black communities that literally everybody was doing what they needed to do, right? As you said, there was a lot of wealth that was being generated, right? There was a lot of community that was raising the kids, and the kids were going to college. The kids were starting their own companies or taking up the companies from their parents. But what happened? Again, these people came in and took these communities, right? Look at even Central Park. There was a huge Black community that was flourishing, and nobody speaks about that. And literally, it was flattened to the ground, right? And what happened? They pushed those people over to Harlem, all right? And now what happened? All those buildings automatically got burnt down, and now they raise up bigger buildings that now they outprice the regular residents that were there. The same thing happened in Brooklyn. The same thing is taking its little toll and happening in the Bronx. Because what is it that they're doing? They're literally stamping out all of that imagination, all of that, any spark of light is being stumped out of our minorities, of our communities. When you look at the school, when you look at the funding of the schools in New York City, right, compared, let's say even in New York City, right, there are certain parts of New York City where we're paying thousands of dollars per student, and those kids in public school are getting the top of the line. They're getting the best STEM programs. They're getting all these scholarships, all these grants. And right across the street, depending on your minority, you're getting $200 to educate a child. You don't even have books to give them. They don't have nothing. So I think again, it goes back to this systemic thing that has been plaguing our society. And again, I am not putting all the blame on that, but that takes a huge chunk out of a lot of the programs that we would have gotten and we would have actually started and even pushed forward and propelled. And our kids would have been way ahead versus where they are right now.
Happy Black
me ask
History
you-
Month. Happy Black
Let-
History Month.
Thank you, Holly. Let me ask you a question, Rochelle. Do you think the public schools in a Black community today is better than the public school in a Black community 80 years ago?
80 years ago, we had Black teachers teaching Black students our history. 80 years ago, we had Black people, Black organizations, Black entrepreneurs that were supporting Black schools, and they were giving them all that they needed, and our Black students were being taught, and they were way ahead of any Black school that is here today in America. And I say that with my full chest, 1,000%.
I'm curious to know, what does Ravi think about this?
Hold on. So you're telling me, Rochelle, that you think 80 years ago, the public schools for Blacks were better than the public schools of today for Blacks?
There is no question about that. And I'm going to tell you. So I'm going to explain. And again, I did give you many reasons for that, but I'm going to go deeper into that, right?
But the Black,
so
you mentioned, no. You mentioned Blacks were supporting public schools back then. You're a Black woman.
No, not public school. Not public school. We're
That's
supporting.
What you just said.
I said they supported Black public schools. That's what I said. I never said public schools. I said Black public schools. That's what I said. Okay. So I'm going to explain why I said that. I'm going to tell you why I said that. 80 years ago, right? Blacks went to Black schools. Whites went to white schools, right? Blacks weren't getting money from the whites. They weren't. So what did we as Blacks do? We taught our own. Our students saw their own. And therefore, because we were teaching our own, there was a care. There was a compassion. There was a drive to teach them above and beyond. And I'm not taking away anything from a lot of white teachers that put their necks on the line for a lot of our Black students. But I'm going to tell you something. A lot of our Black students are thrown into the wolves. When I started teaching, I had students coming up to me and saying, "Miss, you are my first Black teacher, and I teach high school, and I work in the Bronx." I have students coming up to me and they said, "Miss, you are so strict, but I love you because you push me." The other day they were doing a teacher survey and my students came to me and they said, "Miss, is this for you? Because if it's not for you, it's going to be a problem because our teachers, they don't care about us." I have students, even when I'm telling them to leave my class, they want to come into my class. I am the only Black science teacher who teaches in my department of my school. Black female teachers. Everybody else is not. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. So 80 years ago, our Black schools were teaching and doing way more than what our schools are doing today for our Black students.
All right. Ali asked Ravi his opinion. When Ravi's done, I'll come back to you on that. Go ahead, Ravi. What's your opinion on your take? Repeat your question, Ali.
Ravi, do you feel as though, quote unquote, Black people have it harder than any other people?
To a certain degree, yes. But at the same time, I think we all have some of the same opportunities. but I think black people have a a perception about them. People have a perception about black people that sometimes is not accurate. A lot of times it's not accurate. But going back to the school situation and you know, from comparing it to today, or comparing it from today to 80 years ago, I mean, we had segregation 80 years ago, right? I don't think that's, I think schools today are way better than they were 80 years ago. However, I think black teachers care more about black students learning and becoming educated than non-black teachers. Now, that's a generalization, and I'm sure some people are going to have a big problem with that, because there are definitely some non-black teachers out there that care more than some black teachers. You know, there are some teachers that I've had that don't give a crap about any student. They're just looking for a paycheck and benefits for the rest of their lives.
Big
You know,
facts.
that's just a bad apple. But I think schools today are definitely better, and we have access. The students have access to more stuff than they did before. Now, my one question is, how were the segregated schools funded? That's one thing that I don't know about.
The
Were
federal
the black
government,
schools
the
funded by
federal,
only black people?
no, no. The federal government would fund the schools. They just wouldn't. So what they would do is they would send some funds to the school, but they would, like, so when it was time to change the textbooks, they would send the old textbooks from the white schools to the black schools, and then buy new textbooks for the white schools. Those are some of the
Hmm.
things that I learned about the differences with the schooling. So now let me get back to Rochelle. 80 years ago, black we as human beings, we always romanticize the past. 80 years ago, blacks were complaining that the schools were despicable. They were run down, they didn't have books, they didn't have anything close to what the white schools were having. 80 years later, the schools are still not as good as white schools, but they are miles better than the schools 80 years ago. So, so for you to come and say that the black schools were better 80 years ago than the schools today, you are on another unicorn. That's the first thing. Second thing, we have to also remember that the climate and the culture was different. Today, you talk to a child and the child's mad that you talk to them. They go home, tell their mom or dad, and then the mom or dad comes and fights with you, the teacher. Back in those days, if the teacher called home, those kids are getting a whooping. Nowadays, people scared to hit their kids. So the culture was different back then. So when a teacher comes to school to teach the students know I better pay attention because first off, I need to get this education. Secondly, my mom will tear me up if I don't pay attention if this teacher calls my house. And so the teachers seeing the respect, seeing that these kids actually wanted to learn and seeing results from the different things that they're doing were enthused to continue to do so. Nowadays, you're coming, the federal government is now stepping in. The CIA is now watching schools because the parents are coming to fight the teachers. So if I'm at school and I talk to Johnny or I talk to Ravi and Ravi's not listening. Ravi's arguing with me. I call Ravi's house. Ravi's mom is saying, "Why you calling me? He's there with you all day long. You need to figure it out." Of course, I'm going to stop caring as much as I do because you don't have any respect, Ravi. I talk to you, I'm trying to teach you, Ravi, and you're not paying attention. Your dad doesn't even care if you're not learning. So then why should I care? Right? So
Right.
I do
Right.
understand, yeah, I do understand that the system is set up for for the masses to fail. And I'm emphasizing on masses because this conversation, I wasn't talking specifically about black people because a ton of white kids are doing a lot of dumb stuff too. A ton of Spanish kids are doing a lot of dumb stuff too. So I wasn't specifically talking about black people, right? But you know, the system is set up for the 1% to stay the 1% and the 99% to stay where they are.
Andre,
It's
I don't agree with a lot of things, but I agree with you. And that is exactly the reason I said what I said. So you're saying 80 years ago, the schools were despicable, the schools were run down. Have you been into a school up in the inner city right now? It's the same description of schools 80 years ago. Nothing has changed. And what do I mean? Yes, we have computers. Yes, we have new books, so to speak. However, when the same public schools that are in a different part of the city, where they are the majority class, not the minorities, it is way different. These kids are doing violin lessons on public dollar. These kids are learning, taking classes for SATs to go into specific colleges that they're going to get that letter to walk right there on public dollar. If you go into their counterpart schools that are in the minority communities, it is a totally different thing. My school is one of the best schools in the Bronx, right? It is highly funded. And yet, compared to the other counterpart schools in a different part of the city, it is trash. And why is it trash? Because we are failing our kids daily because of the resources that we are unable to provide. And then when the kids do come in, because of the generational, all of the foolishness that was set up, right? Now they don't know no better. So therefore, they're coming in to fight because everybody on the block was fighting and they don't know no better. And that is why I said 80 years ago, it was segregated. And that's why, to me, it was of a higher level. Again, we were still not on the level of our white counterparts. But guess what? Our kids were doing way more. Our kids were excelling way more than today.
Rochelle, so you think
it's not think, it's a fact.
now
You
just because you say it's a fact doesn't make it a fact. Ali, tell Rochelle what school I went to, please. What high school I went to, please.
Dre went to Taft High School.
Now, when I went to Taft, which high school was worse than mine?
None.
Okay, Taft High School was it was the worst high school in the Bronx at the time. I was in a law program in the worst high school in the Bronx. I would assume that that school suffered from funding issues as well. We had teachers in that school. We had a teacher in there. Looking back, we believe he was one of those teachers who did not give two craps about black kids. This guy used to come to school, tell us we're stupid, tell us we're not gonna pass, do your mama jokes. Okay? I was in the law program going to the Bronx Defender's Office to debating all the schools in New York. I got offered a debate scholarship to college in the worst school in New York, at least the Bronx. Let me not say New York, in the Bronx. So when you tell me about the worst schools, whatever, programs are there for everyone to take advantage of. If nobody takes advantage of the programs, it's not the school's fault. You got Bronx High School of Science. The people who go to Bronx High School of Science are not the same people. And I'm not talking about race. I'm not talking about any of that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the value system of the people that go to Bronx High School of Science is not the same value system of the people that go to the schools where every single day they got the deans or the police are breaking up 15 fights. There's a reason I moved my family out of the Bronx and moved them into the suburbs. Because studies show that if your environment is a toxic environment with noise, with pollution, with violence, it is difficult for you to learn. So once I read that study, I knew once I had a family, I'm moving to the suburbs. When I was getting ready to start a family, I moved to the suburbs. The reason some people are, and I tried to allude to this earlier, the reason there's a group of people that continue to excel, this group of people that continue to excel is because that is what they see at home. So when they go outside, they know they have to continue to do that because that is successful. So I have to also be successful. If your environment is where you like you just said, they just left their block and there was a fight on the block. So now they're in school, there's a fight in the school. So that I don't want to use, I don't want to call names. But when that is the environment you live in, right? Where you're practically just trying to survive. It is hard to think about calculus when you're like, I remember me and Ali's cousin was going home and two dudes ran down on Ali's cousin. I don't know why they ran down on his cousin. Me and him are walking home. And he just takes off running, and he was fast. I couldn't catch that guy. I'm like, yo, why are we running? He's like, yo, they're going to try to rob me. They're trying to rob me. He had a gold chain on. And I'm like, yo, stop and let's fight these dudes. But he kept running. Right? When you're literally trying to survive, it's hard to remember calculus. When you're trying to survive, it's hard to whatever. So I can't blame the schools because I went to one of the worst schools. And I could have been a lawyer today if I'd made different choices. I can't blame the school. I can't blame you, Rochelle, the teacher, because your class failed. You went to school and you tried your best. If the kids don't value what you're trying to impart to them, they will not take advantage of the information. So yes, there are some schools that are funded better. But in today's time, which is why I laugh at you when you're talking about 80 years ago. 80 years ago, you can find proof where they gave the white schools $10,000 and they gave the black school $2,000 for the same thing. Here in 80 years later, you have to give the same schools the same things. If it's $2,000 per kid, it's $2,000 per kid across the board. Now, some schools are going to get more funding for whatever other programs that the principal and whatever programs that they approve for. But other schools are not going to get it because the kids are not going to use it. That is why I think some schools are better than others. It's not funding. It's not only funding. Sorry, I keep going off on rants.
Do you think that it starts at home? No.
Of course it does. If a child is not afraid of their parents, if a child is not afraid of their parents, they're not going to be afraid of the teacher. If a child doesn't respect their parents, they're not going to go to school and respect the teacher. So when you're trying to impart knowledge to someone, if they don't respect you, they're not listening to you. No matter what you say, no matter how valuable the information you're trying to impart. If they don't respect you, that's why today social media followers is so important, because that shows that they respect you enough to follow you, to listen to you.
True.
If these kids don't respect you or want to listen to you, who gives a crap? I don't care. The school is almost over. I gotta go think about beating up Ravi. Let me go call Ali to make sure that he's ready, because we gotta go jump Ravi. That's what these kids are thinking about in class. I remember my first year in high school. I'm sitting in class and this kid just cracked a joke. I don't remember what he cracked the joke about. And the person he cracked the joke about said, "Oh, word? When the bell ring, I'm going to ring your bell." At that point, the dude is about to get beat up. He's not thinking about what's going to happen in class. And the dude who is about to beat him up is not thinking about what's going to happen in class. Period. So now these kinds of activities permeate a school, and then people come out and say, "Oh, it's funding." It's not funding alone. No matter how much money you have in a school, if the people aren't. I remember when I was in high school, they gave us junior high school, they gave us flutes to play. Nobody wanted to play the damn flute. So why would you buy violins? The flute is one of the cheapest instruments. If nobody wants to play the flute, why are you going to buy violins? You get me, Ali?
I get you.
I mean, you didn't go to a horrible high school, Ali. And I'm sure you saw the same things I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There are intelligent people in some of the worst high schools. Intelligence is intelligence. And what happens is the good high schools, the people who want to focus on learning and education, they find their way to go to those schools. The schools where you see all these fightings is going on, those kids are going to the schools their friends are going to so they can have a crew to chill with. And this is a wide generalization, but I'm just talking about what I saw when I was growing up in the hood. I remember one time, like, there was a Dominican versus Jamaican fight in the school. All of them, not all obviously, but the Dominicans and the Jamaicans were having a fight. The Dominicans and the Puerto Ricans used to fight. So when like Rochelle is talking, like, like I didn't go to one of the worst schools. Like, come on, man, opportunities there. You got to seize it. You got to take the opportunity.
And I think starting at home is the number one thing. I mean, it has to start at home. And aside from what did you say, Andre, before about starting at home?
Like, if you're not respecting or fear your parents, you're not
being afraid.
Yeah.
It's not always about being afraid of your parents, but it's definitely about respect. Respecting your parents and respecting your elders. Now, in addition to that, if you see your parents not doing anything and just not going to work, not trying to make better for the lives of their family, all those things make a difference. Or, like if you saw your dad working day and night, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, those kind of things, seeing that puts that drive in you, doesn't it? I think it does.
That battery in your back.
Say that again, Ali. I couldn't hear you.
So it puts that battery in your back.
Yeah, right.
For
Right.
sure,
It makes
man.
you know. But if you see your dad at home and he's fighting with your mom all the time, or he's out in the street fighting, and that's all you know, it's not really. It's definitely not the school's fault. Like you said,
Definitely
you
not.
know, the kid's trying to learn. The teacher's trying to teach the kid calculus, and he's over here thinking about ringing somebody's bell. You
Yep.
know.
Now it sounds cool. I ain't gonna lie. It sounds cool telling someone, "Hey, when the bell rings, I'm gonna ring your bell," right? But the underlining idea of that interaction is violence, and I prefer violence over education at that moment because we're in a learning environment, right? And most people who are educated are okay laughing at themselves, right? And so we're in an educational environment. Nobody knows everything. Someone's laughing at you, and your thing is, oh, okay, so I'm gonna beat you up. I'm stupid. Because I'm stupid, I'm gonna beat you up. So now the other stupid people is like, oh, that's what stupid people do. All right, well, let me do that too then. And the crazy thing is, that guy ended up being just because I saw him when he was leaving. I saw the guy who got beat up. I saw when he became a senior. When he became a senior, he was literally the example of the guy who beat him up 2 years before that.
Now
He
listen
was
to
like,
that.
look, in my school, being smart is not what's celebrated. So I'm gonna be the guy. What's celebrated is the guy who beat me up. He's celebrated. And that's what I'm talking about when I say when I try to talk about peer pressure. Bronx, I'm sure Bronx High School of Science is the school Neil deGrasse Tyson went to. There is a COVID treatment out, right? I forget what it's called. Damn it, it slipped my mind. But what it is when you catch COVID, they inject you with antibodies so your body could fight COVID better. I forget what it's called. The guy who invented that also went to Bronx High School of Science, right? Those, I am 100% sure those kids in Bronx High School of Science aren't having tons of fights every day. What's happening in Bronx High School of Science, that's not happening in Truman. Teachers showed up for school. Teachers don't want the kids to be fighting. Teachers are showing up to teach the kids. Both of those things are happening in the same school, in the two schools. But one school is having poorer results than the other. Are all the teachers in the school that's performing poorly? Are all of those teachers incompetent? It's funny how a teacher will blame the school, a teacher will blame a system, but the teacher, if we're just going to be doling blame out, how come the teachers don't take any of the blame then?
And there are
And
plenty of
and and
teachers
let
out there that don't want to teach. Plenty.
Yes, that's true.
They don't want to teach.
That's true. I agree. But I'm just saying, like, we can't blame the worst school. I mean, bro, the worst school out there has something. They are trying their best with the students. If the students don't want to learn what you're teaching, you could talk to the chalkboard. It don't matter. And that's how society's changing, right? Back in the day when you were growing up, you probably, Ravi, when you were going to school here in America, you were probably at the tail end of when corporal punishment was in school, right?
Yeah, no, we didn't have that.
So
We
it
did
was
not have
already
it. I
gone
think
out of the
it's
school when you started,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
It
so
was. It
so
was.
so so I'm saying when you went to school though, right? The objective in the classroom was to learn. And primarily that was the environment, correct?
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'm talking about from the teachers down to the students, their objective was to go to school and learn, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Always.
Today, the objective is to go be what's I'm trying to I don't even know how to use the current vernacular. It's they're going to go show off their drip.
Push
Yeah, you
P.
didn't think I know that, right, Ali? Yeah, I know about
Push
drip.
P.
Huh?
Their drip.
Pushing
Did
P
you
is the
say
new
drip?
thing.
I said drip. I didn't hear you, Ali. Say that again.
Pushing P is the new thing.
Pushing P, what is that? I don't even know what that is. What's that?
That's a new vernacular.
Oh, pushing P. Oh, okay, pushing product. Okay, which which is sort of like drug dealing, but fine, whatever. So that's what they care about. Girls, looking good and fighting. The concern isn't the folks that are concerned about getting an education are getting an education. I
I
could be
mean,
wrong, but I think
Hurt
I'm right.
people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. And
That's a fact.
if you grow up in a house where your parents are calling you dumb, they see their failures in their kids and they didn't make it somewhere, they're going to put that on the children, and the children are going to go ahead and put that on their crushes. They're going to put it on people to make other people think they're cool. Like, it's so crazy to me that somebody thinks like hitting is flirting, you know?
Oh,
But
that's yeah.
yeah,
Well,
when we were
women
hitting
growing
is
up,
women
flirting.
do that.
Is that what you said?
like
Yeah,
hitting,
women do
yeah,
that,
hitting
bro.
and fighting, yeah. And it's
When
just
a girl,
like,
when you're younger and a girl that like you, she used to hit you a lot. You probably didn't notice it, but yeah,
yeah, I'm
women
just
used to
saying
do
it's
that back in
crazy
the day.
though. It's crazy that, you know
Yeah,
what I
it's a
mean?
lack
It's
of
not able to be
ability to express yourself.
communication. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's all. Even kids that commit crime, all it is they trying to get attention that they never got growing up. They trying to get love. Everybody needs love. Everybody just wants love. And when they don't get it, it comes out in different ways.
That's
You
so
Sure,
know,
for
sad.
sure.
because anger is a emotion as well, and somebody can be super sensitive at being angry too.
What you mean?
You know, like people don't think of when you think of yo, you mad sensitive. People don't think of anger, but anger is definitely a way somebody can be sensitive. Like somebody can get angry at the littlest thing, and they have a sensitivity to, you know what I mean, keeping calm in situations that normal people would keep calm in.
Okay.
And so I guess the hood needs therapy, and there needs to be more free therapists for kids. And
Do you
maybe
think that
kids,
it's not
I
though?
think less fighting, it would be less fighting in if your kid went to a school with a uniform, I think. I think uniforms control that because at an early age, certain schools, they're not able to handle the drip, as you say, drip. And that breeds
So
jealousy and a whole bunch of shit.
in India,
Ego.
that they do that as well. And all the schools are uniform, only uniform,
Nice.
In Jamaica too.
because oh yeah,
Yeah.
and they have religion in school. They haven't taken religion out of school.
I think America or the first world countries are the only ones that took religion out of school. I don't think religion is out of school in England. I think it might be out of school in Canada. I most definitely know it's out of school in Russia. I don't know what it is in Spain, but I think most of the first world countries, religion is out of school. It's the second and third world countries that still have it, and those cultural fabrics are still intact. Not saying religion
Yep.
is what's causing it, but I'm saying the abandonment of a lot of things that was holding the society together um, is, Ali don't like me to say this, but beating the kids, man, beating the kids. If Ravi saying not fear but respect, you don't respect things you don't fear. Fear
Yeah.
is a
I
part of
mean,
respect.
part of it. It's part of it. It's part
Yeah.
of it. Absolutely. 100%.
So if you don't fear your parents, then you're not gonna respect or listen to them. And I think because nowadays, like it's the tail wagging the dog in our society now. You know what I mean? Like a parent has to be afraid of their kid. I remember when I heard like they were arresting parents if the kids weren't going to school. And I remember when I used to cut school. How you gonna
That
arrest my
used to
mom because I'm cutting
yeah,
school?
that used to scare me to death, man.
What? Cutting school or your parents being arrested for you cutting school?
Parents getting in trouble because of something stupid I did.
Yeah.
So I rarely cut school. I don't think I ever cut school, actually. I
My
think I left
first,
school, but I always went and then I left early.
yeah, nah, I did a lot of cutting the schools, bro. I did a lot of cutting the schools. So, I know, and that's the thing, right? It's like us as adults remember, like we need to remember, like what we used to do as kids. I used to cut school. It wasn't my mom's fault or my dad's fault. They wanted me to go to school. They told me get up and get dressed so I could go to school. I left the house and did not go to school. I went to my friend's house and we cut school together. That's not my parents' fault. That's my fault.
Yeah.
That's not the school's fault. That's not society. That's not the system's fault. That's my fault. And again, I hinted at this before. That's why I believe in personal responsibility. We need to take responsibilities for our actions. There are things outside of our controls. There's nothing you can do about it. But most times, the things outside of your control, it's not, like, especially in today's society, it's not so crazy that it's stopping you from getting to where you want to get to. Ali,
Yo.
you had your girlfriend, you guys had a kid together, and you told her to stay home from work.
Yes, sir.
You did that at a young age. How old were you?
225.
Society was
Wow.
against you, and you were holding down a household by yourself. White supremacy was still around. Racism was still around. And you did that because you took responsibility for your actions. You had a woman pregnant and you had certain values you wanted to have in your family. And so you worked hard to get there.
Yes, sir. And it got
Good man.
me. It got me
Don't
a
even go
woman.
there. Don't even go there.
It got, tough, great, that saying comes back again. Great, good times create weak people.
Yeah, your situation is a little bit different, but the point I'm trying to make is, yes, the system is set up for us to fail. But there are a lot of people out here winning. I met a 24-year-old dude. I want to have him on the show. This dude's 24 years old. He was a hard money lender at 24 years old. This dude is like, I think he has around 3 businesses right now. At 24, a black kid. This is why when you guys sit on here and talk about white supremacy and the man and the system, I'm like, so what?
Where did he
None
go
of
to
that.
school?
Westchester County. He's not from the Bronx. He's from Westchester.
Wow, that's that's fantastic. That's amazing.
Yeah, he lives up in Valhalla.
Oh, he lives in my around my
Yeah,
way.
you probably know him,
Yeah, if
right?
he
So, so,
goes rock
so,
climbing.
so I'm just saying, there. Look, there are opportunities. Okay, so watch this. Watch this. And this is. I don't know if you knew about this, Ali, but listen to me and listen to me clearly, please. I am keenly aware there isn't many subjects you can bring to my attention that I am not aware of it, Ali. Right? I bet you
Yes.
didn't know that when 9/11 COVID hit, right? When COVID hit, the SBA was giving out loans, right?
Yes.
And I called SBA and I took out a loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
SBA was giving out an extra $10,000 advance, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I got my loan, I called my boy. I walked him through the process to get his loan. I walked him through the same process I went through. SBA gave him $10,000 just because I never got that 10,000. So I called him. I'm like, hey, I never got my advance. What's going on? My friend, I helped him. He did exactly what I did, and I didn't get the advance. What happened? They said, where's your business register? I said, Westchester County. They said, where's his business register? I found out his business was registered in the Bronx. They said, that's why. He's in an underserved community, so we gave them an extra 10 grand for nothing. So if he took out an $80,000 loan, they gave him $90,000 and he only has to pay $80,000 back.
Is this the PPP that you're talking about?
No. That the PPP
It's
is
separate.
separate. Yeah, I'm
Separate.
talking about a loan.
Just a regular business SBA
Regular,
loan.
yeah, SBA loan. They gave the people in underserved communities a $10,000 advance. That's what it was called, an advance. And they did not have to pay the $10,000 back. So the reason I'm telling you this, Ali, is there's opportunities wherever you are. There are people in the Bronx that are doing well in the hood. People in Brooklyn doing well in the hood.
If they want to
You
hustle.
exactly, and that's the
If
thing.
they
A
want
lot
to
of
hustle.
people don't want to hustle.
We got to get these kids to do it. We got it. I mean, I don't. What else is there, Dre? If we can't get the kids to do it,
Well,
like who is this 24-year-old that you just spoke about? Who is
his
his
name.
mentor?
I don't even know. Because I spoke to him before. Maybe his mom. Maybe his mom. This dude, like when he told me he was a hard money. Let me give you his story. So he was a really good basketball player. He went to college, graduated college, and came out. I don't remember what he did in school, but he lived at home, right? So when he came out of college, he got a job. He was working because he was living at home. He was just stacking his money, right? He met some guys who they were doing real estate and they wanted to borrow money. So he took his whole check and lent it to them. They did their real estate investment and brought back his 10% or whatever he lent them. And they kept doing it. Now this dude owns $1 million apartment is a part owner of $1 million apartment in Miami. They're doing Airbnb. And he's looking at other investments that he and I were talking about. His mom has a business and he has a business, and he's looking at other ways to pimp his money. He's not sitting around thinking about white supremacy. He's not sitting around thinking about the system is set up against me. He's thinking about how am I gonna win? Because Jackie Robinson was it was in white supremacy and in a system set up for him to lose, and that dude thought about a way to win. All of these famous black people we hear about, Sidney Poitier, that dude was acting. White supremacy was worse then than it is now, and that dude was a star actor. We need to stop sitting around and lamenting on the problem, because lamenting on the problem don't fix the problem. I don't hear Indian people lamenting about the system. Indian people decided they're going to figure out what they need to do to win, and then go about and doing it. Chinese people is the same thing.
You know, they're not. None of those people are complaining that they're getting their, grandma's getting their faces punched in. What they're doing is going out, making more money, and moving out of the neighborhood.
There you go.
That's it.
I was walking home from work one day, and I had to cross over the street 3 times. I had to walk from one side to the other side to the other side to get to my apartment building. One summer afternoon. And whether it's people playing dominoes on the street, on the sidewalk, or the hydrants are going, so I got to cross over so I don't get my dress shoes and my work clothes wet from the hydrant. Like, I had to cross the street route 3 times before I got home on one block. I said, "Oh no, I don't have to deal with this. I'm moving." And that's when I moved to the terrace, Ravi.
Best thing you could have ever done for me.
Right? So I'm saying, sitting around and complaining, and that's what I'm trying to tell you, Ali. Sitting around and complaining don't change the problem. You gotta I got a shirt that says life don't have a remote. You gotta get up and change it. Talk about that. The Gwan podcast is about to do t-shirts. This is an idea.
Oh,
Ali,
yeah?
Yeah, Ali came up with this idea. So we're about to do t-shirts, and that's one of the t-shirts we're gonna do. Life doesn't have a remote. You gotta get up and change it.
Hell yeah. Put me down for a few of them, please.
You got it, bro. You got it. Miss Ababa,
Yo.
how you feel, brother?
Oh man, I'm holding it together like a loose bolt.
do that.
How about you?
I'm good. I'm excited about the future for the podcast, bro. I'm excited.
Yes.
Mr. Goodka,
This is
I want to
fantastic.
I want to thank you for your time, bro. Every single time, it's really appreciated.
I appreciate you having me here.
You the man, Ravi. You the man.
Oh, you good. Ali, I gotta talk to you offline about something. I don't know if Andre told you, but I have a little bit of a YouTube thing going on.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
Before we end, Ravi, I'm sorry. You gotta promote your business, bro.
Oh.
Yeah, promote your business, man. What's the name of your company and what y'all do?
So it's the name of the business is iPower Generators, just like iPhone, iPower Generators.
Yeah.
And we sell, service, and install home standby generators. So like automatic generators, power goes out, generator turns on, and powers your house. That's what we do. We mainly service. We do a little bit of installs. We're getting away from the install business, but we mainly service generators just here in Westchester.
Oh, you're not doing the surrounding areas anymore?
No. We do a little bit in Greenwich.
Oh, okay.
We got out of Jersey, so we just we're with the 1%.
Well, listen, if there's one thing I know, you guys are one of the best in Lower Westchester, Upper Westchester. So keep doing what you're doing. iPower Generator. And if you guys are listening and you're in the Westchester area and you're looking for a generator, hit up Google. Please. iPower Generator.
Yep.
Get my guy Ravi on the job.
Yep. Happy to help. And if you ever, one thing that we're the best at, and this is I could say this with 100% confidence, is fixing problems that nobody else can fix. That's what we do. We are the best in Westchester for handling those situations. So, if anyone's out there listening, we'd love to help.
For sure. Guys, thank you for listening. Please stay tuned because we got a lot of good stuff coming. We got a lot of good stuff on the way.
You don't know.
Thanks, Z. Thanks again, Ravi. And
No
we're gonna
worries.
catch
Thank
up.
you.
Thank you, Ravi.
Okay.
Bless up.
No
Bless
problem.
up.
Well, guys, thank you for listening to another episode of the Gwan podcast.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, we are already on YouTube. If you don't know, now you know for the second time. Please like, subscribe, share our videos, spread the word, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend.
Yes. And if you want us to talk about something that you want to hear about, you could email us at wagwanpodcast@gmail.com. WAHGWAN podcast@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram and we're on all your other favorite platforms. That's Apple, Google, Spreaker, SoundCloud, whatever you want. We got it. Listen in.